The hero involved, Jonathan Diller. Police officer Jonathan Diller gave his life last night protecting the people of New York City. And he gave it in an extraordinarily heroic way by, even though he was shot, shooting back. He really, I would say, went a long way to save and protect the life of his partner and possibly the other police officers that these career criminals would have shot. Uh, Officer Diller, Jonathan Diller, was a young man with a 1-year-old child, married, been on the force for 3 years, and he was part of the community enforcement group uh, who had special responsibilities for crimes that were disturbing the neighborhood or creating problems for the area. This was a traffic stop. We don't yet know the details of the exact reason for the stop. Was it a stop based on a traffic violation, or was it a stop based on an alert with regard to a warrant or whatever? But in any event, it occurred. It occurred on Monday evening, and it was at 1919 Mott Avenue in Far Rockaway, Queens, a place you might imagine I am very, very familiar with. Uh, I think last night when it was first told to me, I told Ted exactly the hospital he would take him to, Jamaica, which I had been to so many times. Well, Officer Diller had stopped this guy who turns out to be, of course, he wouldn't have known it at that time. His name is Guy Rivera. He is a 22-time arrested uh, felon and misdemeanor. Uh, Seems to have spent about half of the last decade in jail, in prison, maybe more than that. Shouldn't be out on the street. I saw a couple there that, had they been using the career criminal program that we used, he'd have been in jail. Now, I often tell you there are about 7,000 people walking the streets of New York City that would not be walking the streets of New York City when I was the mayor or Michael Bloomberg. But between de Blasio, the state legislature and their bail craziness, and Cuomo and letting people out of prison, and Adams and doing nothing about it, we're talking about 5,000 to 7,000 people that are out there, put out there all by, they're not put out there based on a ruling of God. They're put out there based on progressive Democrat philosophy. The cause of the crime wave in New York, the cause of the crime wave in Philadelphia, the cause of the crime wave in St. Louis and Baltimore is not hard to find. The cause is the programs and policies of a political party that favors criminals over innocent people, to the point of reversing all of the good work that was done by the career criminal program. Guy like this, somewhere around crime number 6 or 7, would have been away for the rest of his life. And oh, by the way, the other guy driving the guy driving the car had 14 arrests and assorted convictions. So when he approached the car, they wouldn't come out. He wouldn't come out. That is Rivera, the career criminal. And Officer Diller went to take him out. And when he did that, Rivera reached for a gun, took out a gun, and shot him. And I guess he was like low at the time coming out of the car. So unfortunately and tragically, he shot him below the vest, and the vest goes down pretty far. And he returned fire. Then his partner returned fire, and ultimately Rivera was also shot, either by Diller or by his partner. Also taken to Jamaica Hospital. He's surviving. Officer Diller died either on the way to the hospital or at Jamaica Hospital. He has a wife. He has a 1-year-old child. I don't know, Ted, if you have a picture of the 1-year-old child. I do. I'm going to show it because this little boy will grow up now without a daddy because New York does not know how to deal with crime. This didn't have to happen. I would say there's a pretty good chance this would not have happened if the policies that I had in effect hadn't been all reversed. I don't see how this guy had been out to do this. This is a city and a state that glorifies criminals more than just about any other than maybe California. And it's done deliberately by the progressive Democrats, not just a squad like AOC, because the other Democrats don't change it. Andrew Cuomo signed these bills. He was supposed to be a moderate Democrat before his scandal. Adams has, for 3 or 4 years promising to do something about it. All he does is bring illegal immigrants into the city that commit crimes. I mean, how about 160,000 of them? So he spends his time doing things like getting credit cards for them, debit cards for them, and gives the contracts for millions to friends of his. Hochul, same thing. She's always talking on, but all she's interested in is these gigantic contracts for 3 times the amount of California. And then you find out they get campaign contribution to it. Then we have these judges on the bench who are disgracing New York with regard to the case against Donald Trump. If you haven't figured out these are political operatives of the Democrat Party, and that Bragg is basically a paid employee of George Soros, the DA, well, then you haven't been paying much attention. And that's what happens. The whole darn thing is falling apart. And unfortunately, this wonderful young man with a beautiful child, what a lovely little boy. And I go back to the funerals, with the little boys and girls. I don't know if you've read any of my books, but people ask me, what about September 11 and getting through it? What was the hardest part? Particularly all the funerals. You know the hardest part? Getting up, giving a eulogy, which I had to do at every funeral when they had children, and trying to explain to the little children how they were never going to have a daddy. Took every bit of strength that I have not to cry, and to try to find an explanation, which was that you've got to know that your daddy was a hero. This man was a hero, and you've got his genes as well as your mom. Those are strong genes. Mom's going to tell you lots of stories about daddy, and you haven't lost him. He's there. He's in you. He can be as much as you want in your mind and heart. You can learn a lot of lessons from him. To the people who knew him, and I'll tell you the one thing that will happen: they will be embraced by a police department. And of course, I always mention T2T.org, and they are very important to this, but they're not alone. Frank will be there. Frank Siller will be there within the next day, if he hasn't been there already, paying off the mortgage for Mr. Diller's home, if he has a home, and otherwise he might be working with the widow to try to find a place. And then both Frank and others will be working on scholarships, and the city is much more generous with its police officers who die in the line of duty than the federal government is. But there also are many organizations, not quite of the scope of T2T or Tunnel to Towers, but similarly will have scholarships and programs. They'll be embraced because despite the fact that we have horrible people running our city and our city council, horrible people who it's hard to even think they're Americans with the things they do, particularly tonight. I'll describe a few of them. We've got an awful lot of good people too. We have people who love the police. When we have this funeral in the next couple of days, the city will be in mourning. A terrible accident occurred today, as you know, at I guess late. I would call it last night, when a ship, a cargo ship, which is 3 football fields long and carrying, among other things, automobiles, I believe. So it must be heavy as hell. It's so it lost propulsion, which sounds to me like it stalled. And it's gigantic, and I don't know how much it weighs. They say, as I said, it's 3 football fields long. We'll see if we can get the weight of it. But it looks like it went smashing into one of the stanch, one of the towers that holds up the bridge, and it just it did such damage that it imploded the actual extension of the bridge. Now, at the time, I've seen reports of 6 and then of 7 people on the bridge, but I think it's 6. 2 were recovered immediately, and 4 they're looking for.
8, and I believe 2 they recovered from the water, and 6 they're looking
8
for. Yeah,
that were on the bridge, workers.
Yeah.
There were 2 cars belonging to the workers. There were no civilians in that sense on the bridge, because the captain of the ship and everyone on the crew was about 42. They all survived. The captain of the ship did have time to make a quick warning to somebody up top on the bridge, and they were able to keep whatever cars were going to go. They were able to keep some cars off. So our credit to the captain for thinking quickly about the impact this might have above. You might not think of it. You might not think it's going to take the whole bridge down. So I don't know his name. I don't know who he is. It is a Singapore flagship. That doesn't mean much, really. I think it was leased by Maersk, which is European. And as I said, I think it was carrying not only automobiles, but automobiles. So it had to be heavy as hell. They say there's no evidence of foul play. It was 948 feet, or as I said, approximately 3 football fields. The Dally is owned by Grace Ocean Limited, and it's a Singapore flagship. I said 42 crew members. There are 22 crew members. I'm sorry. And the vessel, the vessel, I guess it just careened into it. He put down his anchor, and then it drifted toward the one of the towers, and it hit it. Have we put it on yet, Ted?
No, we're going to put it on, and Mayor, you can talk as we put.
Well, the Coast Guard reported the collapse, and we have slightly varying times. This at 1:27 a.m. 1:27 a.m. They reported. That's the ship moving?
Yeah. You're in the corner there. That's the ship moving.
Yeah, we're watching it now. This is about where it makes contact, I guess. It's sort of That's
it coming towards her from a distance.
Well, at this point, there you go. There you see the impact. It's sort of a glancing blow too. If it seemed, and wow, it just came right down.
Here's another angle right here.
Unbelievable.
Here's another angle. There it is.
It's very. I think I'm right. It's not the ship didn't hit the lower part there. It didn't hit it like straight on, Ted. It was like about a third of the ship hit it. I think he was probably trying to avoid it. And the captain, that ship was moving even though he had the anchor down. So among other things, it was not moving at full speed. I don't know what speed it was moving at, but you can see it's not moving at full speed. And look at the damage it did. When you consider that, I'm not going to call it a glancing blow, but if we look at it again, you could mistake it for a glancing blow. There it's at full speed. What we were looking at right now was full speed. There it's at full speed.
No.
So I guess he had just shut it down. Now at some point here he decides he doesn't decide, it loses propulsion.
That's right.
That's where I think that's where it must have happened, emergency, because you can see it slowing down. See it slowing down?
It's coming towards it.
So at this point, he's calling the bridge.
Lights out.
This is the amount of warning the bridge had. There's a car that goes over. See it? Boy, is that guy lucky, huh? Did you see that car go over?
Mm-hmm.
Let's see if any more go. There goes another one. There goes another car. We've been over that bridge, Ted. I've been over that bridge a lot of times because I've driven from Washington to New York. And no cars up there at the time.
Yeah.
Well, later we'll count the seconds that last car missed it by. But I'm going to say seconds, not minutes. Because he couldn't have called the bridge that in other words, there's only a few, he's dealing with a minute there.
That's right. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I will say, based on what we see, at least for the human element here, these people did, it looks like, good work. Now, here are all the possibilities, right? This is a ship that's had problems before. Hate to tell you that, but it had problems in South America. By the way, ship traffic, of course, was suspended in the port of Baltimore. I don't know if it's been reopened. It is one of the busiest ports in the United States. It's going to back up automobile deliveries quite a bit, and I'm sure a lot of other things. This may be the busiest port on the East Coast. It used to be New York, but the mafia made sure that didn't last. The Francis Scott Key Bridge was the main thoroughfare for drivers between New York and Washington who want to avoid going through Baltimore. Of course, you want to avoid going through Baltimore because of traffic. So for those of you who frequently make the drive from New York to Washington, as I did at various times in my life, starting when I was about 28, 26, 28, when I lived there, would drive home, go visit friends. You've been over that bridge. Or if you went down to see Yankee Baltimore Oriole games, if you're a New Yorker, or you lived in Boston and you were going down to Washington, or you lived in Washington and were going to Philadelphia, or you lived in Philadelphia and going to New York. That's a very, very, that's probably one of the most driven thoroughfares in America. It's, of course, the Amtrak line that covers that is the busiest in America. One of the most important, since it links our biggest cities, including our biggest city, to our capital. Whew. So let's find out, before we make all kinds of speculation about it. Let's get the details about what happened. The ship lost propulsion, and then he didn't seem to be able to stop it from going into the stanchions. Didn't seem to be able to stop it. Was he too close? I don't know. Well, we're going to take a short break, and we'll be right back.
The new year, we're having the biggest sale ever on overstock clearance and brand new products. For example, save 60% on our Goose Down comforters, the best comforters ever. They go perfectly with our MyPillow bed sheets and duvet covers. Save 25% on our brand new kitchen towels. They're made with the same technology as our famous My Towels. Our initial quantities are extremely low, so get them now before they go. Our seasonal flannel sheets are finally in. You save up to 50% and they sell out fast every year, so order now. They're truly the best flannel sheets you'll ever sleep on. Or save up to 80% on all our clearance items. And this is where it gets even better. For a limited time, your entire order ships absolutely free. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use that promo code to get deep discounts on all MyPillow products. And for a limited time, your order ships absolutely free.
Has to, or you would have. So Ted and I, we're back. Rudy Giuliani, Americans Mayor Live. Ted and I were discussing the accident, which, of course, you can discuss forever, I guess. But we're wondering why he didn't go right directly under the bridge. And I guess when he lost propulsion, he might have lost steering, because otherwise he could have guided it under the bridge. Because at first I thought maybe it was too big before I saw it. Too big for the bridge. It's big, but it's not too big to go under that bridge. And instead, it looks like it's drifting over to the stanchions, right? And then somebody is trying to avoid them because they're making a turn away from it, because it doesn't hit straight on. It hits with a glancing blow. So somebody is trying to turn it away. But one would think they would have, well before that, just taken it right under. Well, we'll get the answers to that in due course. And let's hope we find those people. So, as of course this was going on, we had New York once again displaying to itself that we do not have a system of justice in New York. Our system of justice has been destroyed by the Democratic Party and by the Bar Association, which has become a Trump derangement official organization. So let's cover what I call the Trump trials, all of which have been placed in the election year, all by Democrat hacks and politicians and corrupt people in one way or in the other. We sure saw that with Fannie the Hoe, right, when it all came out. We know that Bragg, the guy in New York, is a creature of Soros's millions. We know that Smith, the lawyer bringing the two federal cases, has a record with the Supreme Court of framing people. And we know the guy calling the shots is one of the biggest criminals in American history, Joe Biden. So Judge Engoron, I so often call him Engomoron, I can't pronounce his real name, Engoron. And he is entitled to be called Engomoron because I've never known a judge who's been reversed 5 to 7 times by the Intermediate Appellate Court before the case even concluded. I thought if you reversed a judge 3 or 4 times before he concluded, you would just take it away from him. Like, hey, this is too much for you, pal. How can you make so many errors? This is a pretty big one. I mean, they reduced the damn thing 60%. Now, what I'm trying to figure out is how they came up with their number. I have no idea how Engomoron came up with his number of 454. Remember, this is theoretically a fraud case. I dispute that it's a fraud case because nobody lost any money, and critical to the definition of fraud is loss. Fraud is not a theoretical tort or crime. And second, critical to the recovery for fraud is loss. So since the testimony was uniformly the following, not a single person or bank lost a penny. Everyone questioned about whether they were satisfied said yes. Many said they would do business and had done business again, if not all. I don't know. I don't think anybody said they wouldn't do business. And finally, some made very substantial profits on the deal. So now you go figure out what are, first of all, that I don't know how that becomes a fraud case to start with. I think, among other things, it's a misapplication of the law of New York and a violation of due process. But put that all aside now because we are at this stage and we're going up to the 5th time that Trump had to take him up to the appellate division. And they whipped the hell out of him. I don't remember, and a lot of lawyers are quoted as saying this is very rare that a court gets reversed on something like this. Because at this stage, because usually it's based on a number, and you have to do a lot of analysis of that number. You know, there were X number of damages, and then you might put on top of it emotional distress, and you might put on top of it punitive damages. And an appellate court at this early stage can't really analyze and wants time to analyze all that. But there was none of that here. Since Engeron had no numbers to base it on, the appellate division had no numbers to base it on, so they just cut it, and they came up with $175 million. Well, I mean, Trump was very nice to them and all, but they made it up too. But after all, I'm sure they were all New York Democrats, and this one must have been very sad for them. But I do think they're going to reverse this case because it stinks. This case stinks to high heaven. I mean, when you reverse a judge 5 times during the case, if I look at the reversals, I think they've already reversed it, really. But we'll see we'll see what happens. At the same time, Bragg dumps 46,000 pages of a discovery from the U.S. attorney on Trump and says, I want to go to trial on April 15th. Well, thank you very much, but those 46,000 pages, by and large, exculpate me because they come from the prosecutor who wouldn't bring the case that you're bringing, you bum. He wouldn't bring it because it largely is based on the testimony of a person they have declared an incompetent witness, a witness that lies too much to put on a witness stand, a witness that would be an embarrassment to the government of the United States to put on a witness stand. They don't often do that. That is none other than Michael Cohen, who, if you remember, was not allowed to cooperate with the federal government, had to plead guilty and go to jail. So that's rare, but it happens. Meanwhile, Bragg originally turned this case down, and then somebody leaned on him. Maybe Letitia James sat on him. I don't know. Something like that. That could have done it. In any event, of course, he should get as much time as he wants to go through that. There's no right to a speedy trial for the government. Doesn't exist. Bragg has no right to a speedy trial. He doesn't have a right to a trial before the election. In fact, it almost seems to me that in deference to interfering with the election that we're so close now, you should put it off until after. So we'll see what happens as this gets dragged out, but they all seem to want to go to trial before the election, which tells you this is not about the trial. Never has been. It's about seeing if you can get yourself a conviction. And if it gets reversed a year from now, well, hopefully you will have beat him. So we will be back very, very shortly. I'm going to have Dr. Maria with me, and we are going to discuss some of the things that happened today that maybe aren't covered too much elsewhere. We'll be back very shortly. The foundation delivers on its promise to do good and never forget the sacrifices America's greatest heroes have made for us. Heroes who risked their lives to keep our communities and our country safe. Heroes like United States Marine Corps Captain and pilot John Jeremy Sachs. Captain Sachs sustained fatal injuries when his military aircraft crashed during training, killing him and 5 other service members. He's remembered by loved ones as courageous, brilliant, and devoted to his career, family, and friends. John is survived by his wife, Amber, who gave birth to their second daughter 3 months after his death. Tunnelton Towers paid the mortgage on the family home for Amber and their 2 daughters. The foundation has helped over 1,000 military and first responder families navigate the worst of times by removing the burden of a mortgage payment. Our nation's heroes and their families need your help now more than ever. Donate $11 a month to Tunnel to Towers at T2T.org. T2T.org. That's T, the number 2T.org. T2T.org. Please donate now. You see that I have Dr. Maria with me, and Dr. Maria, congratulations on doing a great job between 7 and 8, substituting for really an icon, our good friend Lou Dobbs, who took a day off, and you were on Lindell TV.
Yes, you can get it a variety of ways. So most people know Mike Lindell has Lindell TV at frankspeech.com. But also Lou Dobbs has a website, loudobbs.com. So I'm told you can get it on Lindell TV. It aired at 7, but I think you can still get it. You can get it on Lou Dobbs' Rumble channel. And I think you can get it on his website. It's a lot of fun.
Plus, he's on a lot of
Yeah, a lot of platforms.
Rumble,
Yeah.
but
He's a
we're on it.
really great guy, and I felt really honored. I really did, to be asked to guest host.
Yourself really, really.
Thank you.
You had some great.
They
great
got the
guests.
guests.
Baker,
You were as a guest, and
you
Peter Schweitzer,
and once again, what you did
Mike
was
Howell.
you performed the role that we perform. He does, I do, you do. You inform people of things they're not going to get on the phony news networks,
Mhm.
like the one that just fired Rona.
I am so disturbed about this. It's
McDonald.
not because I'm a fan of Rona McDaniel. That's not it. It's the principle. She was hired in good faith. The talent got mad because they're a radically left TV station. Obviously, the leaders wanted to change it a little bit, and they bullied, called names, and they got their way.
Before we get to that, I just want to show this picture. I've put it up on the screen here. This is it for
Oh, do you have? It's Dr. Maria. What's that?
Good photographer. You know, I had to laugh here because there was a pen on the table. And I don't know, sometimes you see these anchors or the opinion people, they always got a pen and they're writing something. So I saw a pen and I picked it up and Ted snapped the picture. So,
I'm taking my off schedule, because I feel like taking my Balance of Nature fruits and veggies.
it's really important.
And I
We're
want you
not getting healthy foods enough.
and you got to take these. And here's a patriotic pitch. You got to help Mike. And you got to help Balance of Nature. When you buy these things, these are good for you. Mike has so many different products with My Pillow.
Mike's
You just go
products.
mypillow.com/Rudy.
Yeah.
You're going to help the cause. You're going to help Mike. You're going to help me.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you'll get a good
And
product.
you're going to get an excellent product. Nothing.
Birthday presents, Christmas gifts.
You get it at a hell of a
Yeah.
price.
Yep.
And now you take these. I'm telling you, this is a no-brainer.
Yeah.
4 a day for me.
Yeah.
Now you can go a different. You can read up on it and see what you like. 2 fruit and 2 vegetables.
Veggies.
Now this in addition to what I took this morning will give me my vegetable quotient. Although tonight I had broccoli, so
I was proud of you. I love broccoli. I've picked up this habit where I'm eating raw garlic all the time too. It's in
for you.
roasted peppers and olive oil, but it's just these big cloves of garlic, and I can't stop eating them. I don't know what that means.
So let's finish on the Trump news for today.
Yes.
So Trump they put out a leak of vice presidential candidates, and it's good to listen to these leaks because a lot of these leaks are put out as trial balloons.
Yeah, I think on purpose.
You
right?
know, like so
Yeah.
they put out Zeldin,
Oh, really?
Aaron Donalds, DeSantis, Stefanik, and Rubio. So they put Rubio out a couple of times now.
Isn't that interesting? Rubio seemed like he was interested.
Well, this is first time I've seen Zeldin.
Yeah. We
Uh,
got to think
the-
about 4 and
the
4
other
years.
the other 4 have been up a lot. I've seen Byron's name a lot.
I keep saying his name.
DeSantis's name I see a lot.
I'm okay with
recently. Stefanik's name I've seen from the very beginning, and Rubio now in the last 2 weeks.
I like Stefanik, but I don't
So-
know if this is too big of a
But I
deal.
do have to make a recommendation. If you really want to do a trial balloon, you can only do about 2 or 3. You got to make it look like you're really going to appoint the person.
Oh, you
Yeah.
think he's got too many
Yeah.
other lists
I
to
don't
put
think-
out? Do you really think it was someone from his campaign doing this? No.
It could be somebody acting like they're from his campaign.
Yeah.
The press wouldn't publish it if they didn't think this kind of stuff.
Are you kidding me? The press would publish anything.
Well, maybe.
Cray.
There's nothing harmful in this. So
No,
that's
no.
why I
it's
don't think they would.
harmful, but
I don't think they'd publish it unless it had a little bit of credibility. But in any event, RFK picked a real loser as his VP. But I'm happy he did, because I've been telling everyone, Nicole Shanahan, who's San Francisco, I think, left. She was probably cheering in the Red Chinese parade, honoring Xi Jinping when he came into San Francisco. They turned it into a Chinese city, and everybody was cheering for the living Chinese person who's killed the most Chinese people. But I mean, she's been in favor of defunding the police. She's donated all kinds of money to the DA Gascon, who basically got
Mary Mother of God.
who basically got San Franciscans slaughtered and thrown out. But then he ends up getting elected in Los Angeles, and they tried to throw him out. Now they try to throw him out a second time. I mean, the guy's got like all kinds of dead people on his record, and she was for him. I don't know what the hell RFK Jr. is thinking, except here's what I'm going to tell you. When they say he takes votes from Trump, I've always said, once you find out who he is, you're not taking votes from Trump. The guy is the furthest thing from an America First conservative that you're going to find. We share one thing in common, and that is an agreement that the pandemic was a con job.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
It's all about
and
power.
and about money.
Yeah. Oh, for
and,
sure.
and about making billions.
Yeah.
And about China.
Yeah.
I think we agree on that completely.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we probably also agree on how corrupt the government is. Okay. Beyond that, he is an environmental who will absolutely ruin our budget entirely. He's wants reparations for I don't know, for all Black people, just ones that were slaves. How about the Black people that are coming in now? Suppose somebody comes from Africa now. Does he get reparations? And what about me? And you. Your family and my family came from Italy and Europe well after slavery.
Right.
Had nothing to do with slavery.
Right.
Probably, maybe not that kind of discrimination, but dealt with discrimination of their own.
For sure.
Italians are the second most people who were hung.
People don't realize the big Louisiana lynching.
The lynchings, the Italians are number
Italian
2 and Jews are number 3.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Do we get some sort of minor reparations for that?
I don't believe in reparations.
I don't believe in reparations. So, but Robert Kennedy does.
Question.
But this Shanahan person,
It's a done deal because it says that he's expected to announce. Expected. Maybe I'm hanging on that word. That maybe that's a trial balloon.
well, maybe it is, and it should get blown up. I mean,
He seems like he's too reasonable.
now
to
he's
pick
not going to
her.
be president. She's 38. She's she got her money from her husband, who which one of the Silicon Valley left-wing communist organizations is he with?
Google.
Yeah, Google.
Co-founder of Google.
Yeah, great. Google.
Google, big censorship people.
Yeah, big censorship people, big
They may get sued.
anti-right,
Yep.
big time censorship. And now Trump really confounded them all by making that truth deal. And where does he end up at the end of the day? At one point today, he was making 1.5 billion immediately, but then if you space out the period of time that he can sell, his net worth is going to end up going up about 3 to 4 billion.
Well, when it opened today, it was going so much. So many people were trying
They
to
had to
buy.
close.
They had to close down. By the end of the day, he was up $4 billion.
We know how he ended?
I think it was at 4
Check.
billion. He's
Yeah, we'll
looking,
see how
he's
he
gonna
ended the
look.
day. I don't know. But in any event, they were starting the, broke Trump, broke Don. All this, what
They,
that's
they, they,
they just don't know how to use these things the way he does, like crooked Hillary, crooked Joe.
but
You know,
let's talk about human nature for 1 minute. I digress. Why would people see joy to see somebody hurting or
because
broke?
they hate him.
Like you, unfortunately, you were forced to file bankruptcy. Very little, but some people found glee in that. Most people don't. They see it for what it is, the radical left using lawfare to persecute you.
Yeah, based
Because
on
you knew information about the Bidens.
yeah, and I went before a judge who is in the court where the J6 defendants have now had 100 trials, and they've not had a single acquittal. Tell you something?
God bless those people.
Tell you something? They can't all be guilty.
No.
They can't. They have to have made a mistake.
Yeah.
When you look at the people invited in, when you look at the guy, I mean, I'll tell you one that should be thrown out immediately. It's that guy who dressed up like the shaman, whatever the hell that is.
Did though.
No, he
No?
spent 14 months in jail.
Right. Because they
Maybe it's-
withheld information, they withheld.
Yeah,
the
I
movement.
think
But once that came out, I think he was
maybe.
released, right?
Well, they opened the door for him.
Well, I
The
know
cops escorted him.
of them were invited in. There was very, very few people who broke things. And it does look like it's Antifa or plants, professional organizers meant to make chaos. The traditional Trump person is law abiding, polite. We saw it, right? That when Antifa people were trying to break a window, some guy went nuts, a MAGA guy saying, "This is the people's house, stop it." And he went to the police officer saying, "Look at what this guy is doing. He's destroying the Capitol." And the police officers just stood there.
There was a big critique of Trump embracing January 6th. I think the Post. No. Wall Street Journal. I don't think the Wall Street Journal is paying attention to the videos that are coming out and what's behind and the ones that are coming up. I mean, if you realize they're holding them back, they exonerate Trump.
Mm.
Just like I knew you were stealing an election if you wouldn't show me the ballots. If I had information that there were thousands and thousands of phony ballots being marked up, even some by a machine, and they were sitting there in that paper you had where you didn't allow a Republican within 20 feet of it, and you would not allow an independent examination that I could look at. You could put handcuffs on me while I watched it. You just wanted
The
to see it.
Republican observers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you take Georgia. Not a single Republican observer has ever seen any of the paper ballots that came in, absentee ballots. Ever seen?
No, I don't know Georgia law. I knew Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania, same thing.
Same thing. And Georgia actually, now I'm remembering, Georgia actually had it in their rules that the media could even come in and the public
They
could
threw 'em
come in
out,
to
yeah.
observe. Yeah.
And they threw
they
them
were all
out,
thrown
and they've
out.
doctored that video.
Yeah.
Seriously doctored it, including in my bar association proceeding.
Well, the bar
And the people
association.
in my bar association do not seem like they care about that, which says to me that they're the ones who are obstructing justice.
Yep.
Russia, meanwhile, Putin has come to terms with the fact that it was a
Fine.
Islamic terrorist attack, but he still makes vague noises like Ukraine is behind it. We don't know how. But here's the part that I found absolutely disgusting. All over Russian television yesterday, they were torturing these people as if it were afternoon television.
On TV, they were tortured.
I think so. I think
some of them after the fact that you knew they got hit or tortured, which, heck, I'm all into that. Like, I never had a problem with waterboarding.
Oh, no, you're not all into this. Come on, Maria. Harrowing footage appears to show Russian forces torturing suspects.
You got to get the information.
Electric shock
They
to
killed 140 people.
Doesn't matter. You don't put electric shocks on somebody's genitals.
Well,
You don't pull out somebody's fingernails. You don't. I mean, okay, if you need to get information that's going to save lives, fine. But this crime is over. These are animals. These cops are not cops. They're terrorists.
well,
No American cop would do that.
well, it's not in America. It's in Russia.
Well, that tells you something, doesn't it?
Yes.
It tells you something about what's the greatest, really the greatest
Clothes
country in the
and
world.
hospital gown.
I mean,
Court ordered
these
the man be
guys.
held in
Now, I'm-
So
pretrial
that's the
custody
pictures I've
until May
seen. Does the
22nd.
audience see this?
Friday's attack.
Yeah,
left
they-
This is
137
after the fact. This is
dead,
what
more
I
than
saw. It looks
150
like,
people wounded.
you know,
Russian lawmakers
that's
are
not a good one,
considering
but
whether
one
to
of them looked like he was
reintroduce the
hit.
death penalty.
But you're saying they actually showed?
They actually showed the thing being applied to the genitals with 80 volts of electricity, and then they put water on the head to make it even more painful. It's not done to get information out of them, which it shouldn't be, but it's being done as punishment. And they don't have the death penalty in Russia, and they want to restore it. Now they do have the death penalty in Russia. It's called Putin decides to poison you.
Yeah, poison. I was going to say,
It's not exactly
like his friend, the general there, fall out of the sky in the airplane.
Yeah, you don't get a chance to get due process like Trump. I mean, they operate pretty much like Biden does, except on a much worse scale. But I mean, the process is pretty much the same. Lack of due process.
Can I tell you, remember the really weird guy in Colorado? He had his hair was dyed. He went in and just started shooting people. I think it was during a Batman movie. I don't recall. Literally, since that happened, I don't go to the movie theater all that often, but I cannot go in without a gun because I think all the time, how do you escape? How do you get out? And that traumatized me that all these innocent people were sitting there probably eating popcorn to see a movie and they got slaughtered. I'm not going to let that happen to me or my family. So I cannot go to a movie theater without a gun now.
So the House has subpoenaed the video recording of her interview of Biden that led her to the conclusion that Biden should not be prosecuted because he's a harmless, frail old man who can't remember. And then the transcript did demonstrate this. Can't remember within 3 years the date that his son died. He got very offended that was pointed out, and denied that he said it. Except when you read the transcript, he brought it up, as he always does.
Yeah.
His son's dying. He
son.
brought it up in a totally false context, as he often does.
Yeah.
And it hurts people with that, particularly when they have people who died in the line of duty. And he lied about it, or he was wrong about it.
Would you have preferred to see her say, okay, there is enough evidence here that he should be tried, and here's the criminal statutes blank, and let somebody else make the determination he
No.
can't stand trial?
He's-
Like, I don't think her should have made that determination.
First of all, he's a prosecutor. I didn't see any psychiatric testimony assisting that decision. That's a complete bullshit decision by her. And her's a big bullshit artist who should have his license shoved down his throat. That was a fix. It was a gentle fix, but it was a fix. So I have a case, and they tell me the guy, there are two mental defenses.
Okay.
One is insanity, which makes you not guilty by reason of insanity. Basically, you don't know what the hell you're doing.
Mhm.
Let's put that aside. That does not apply to Biden because these things go back to a period of time where there's enough
He was
left.
more with it.
Yeah, there's enough left from his other conduct that you can see he knew what he was doing.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's not going to be the defense. The defense here, this defense is different. It's a procedural defense. He can't defend himself because he can't assist his attorney in preparing for trial.
Mm.
It's not unlike dropping 46,000 documents on someone and saying, go to trial tomorrow.
Mm.
You can't go through 46,000 documents. It's a denial of due process to
Yeah.
do that. So basically, if I'm your lawyer and you're the client,
Mhm.
and I say to you, Maria, they're accusing you of fraud, and you work for this company, and you say, I don't remember.
Mm.
I can't remember what company I work for. I don't even remember the name of the company. I don't remember. And let's say, well, the prosecutor doesn't decide that. The prosecutor's not a doctor.
Yeah.
When
Yeah.
did her become a doctor?
Yeah.
So when I had
We're saying the
cases,
same thing. Then I'm like, he shouldn't have made that determination.
I
Yeah.
mean, I have declined cases on that basis during my career as a prosecutor with the testimony of two psychiatrists,
Mm.
examination by two independent psychiatrists, never even accepted the defendant's psychiatrist. I got the court to appoint a psychiatrist that was independent and a tough son of a gun. And if he told me, hey, the guy doesn't even know his name anymore, what the hell? I'm not going to prosecute him.
Mm.
Now, usually we put him somewhere. I mean, what I take in exchange for that is I'll drop the damn case if you stick him in a crazy house for a period of time. I'm not going to let him go walking around the streets. Like, blah, 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 blah. And if you tell me he's going to recover in about 3 weeks, I said, well, I'll prosecute him in 3 weeks.
Mm. Yeah.
But I mean, this is not like we generally let people off because they can't participate in their own defense. You got to prove it. And you didn't have any proof. So you're a fraud.
Look at Comey.
You are a Justice Department slimy fraud.
Look at Comey. He had all this evidence against Hillary, builds it up, and then says, I'm not going to do anything with it. They all cover each other's back, right? That's why we, the people, get so pissed off.
And even the words that he used, the euphemistic words, he's like an old man who forgets.
Yeah.
That's not enough.
Yeah.
You got to basically, to avoid criminal responsibility, you got to be really out of it. Otherwise, everybody's going to be claiming it and stealing you blind.
Mm.
So I don't doubt that he may be really out of it, but it wasn't proven.
Mm.
Where's the psychiatrist? Where are the 2 reports? What psychiatrist said he can't participate in his own defense? Some lawyer said it? Her? That's not enough. Nobody brings that up because we're so used to cases being fixed.
Yeah.
We've forgotten what
us well, right?
we have forgotten what our laws.
More.
We don't even know what our laws are anymore.
Yeah.
They've confused us so damn much. Meanwhile, this guy Juan Merchant with the Bragg case.
Oh yes.
Who won't give him time to get ready, and now has imposed a gag order on him. Trump can't criticize the witnesses. He can't criticize the prosecutor. He can't criticize the jurors. And I bet he means by jurors him.
Yeah.
Well,
What happened to free
that
speech?
happened in America?
Yeah.
When did that ever happen in America? That these people go out and have press conferences about you.
Oh, of course.
Well, look at all the stuff that
Look at Letitia James.
fat Letitia's doing. Look at all the stuff she's doing, and I can't respond to that.
Boy, she got Trump derangement syndrome.
So Juan Merchant has been an acting justice for 15 years.
Do you know him by any chance?
No, I don't know him, but I've never heard of an acting justice. He should stop acting and become a justice. He's an acting justice. There's got to be something fishy about that.
Oh,
The
reporters out there investigating.
Oh, they.
Internet people go.
Yeah. Okay. The reporters are all a bunch of communists. They're not going to report.
Reporters, you guys.
They'll probably go out there and
information.
try to pin a ticket on me that I didn't get and see if I can be disbarred twice for that. The acting justice for 15 years. Nobody's put him up for being a Supreme Court justice. That's a hell of a thing to give a case like this to a guy who's not good enough to be a real Supreme Court justice.
That's very interesting. Yeah.
And then Engoron is hardly a superior judge. This is a guy who ran 3 times without opposition and seems to be vaguely aware of the fact that he's alive and he's got the girl sitting on his lap, kind of bossing him around.
Who's like Letitia James' friend.
They got to get hacks to do this.
Yeah.
They're not going to get decent people to do this.
Just break your heart that the justice system is so corrupt. It's broken my heart that the CDC, the FDA, the healthcare organizations became so corrupt and censored people during the pandemic.
They found the thing that I love the most to take away from me.
Yeah,
I love being a lawyer the most, more than being
you're going to get it back.
anything else. And
You're
I
gonna get it
was,
back because
believe it or not,
never had it suspended.
with all the different things that I've
They pay you
done.
millions of dollars.
Oh God, they do.
Yeah.
With all the things that I've done, it's the thing that I enjoyed the most and I was the best at.
Yeah.
And if you look at the other things that I've done well, you'll see it's because I'm a good lawyer.
Mm.
A lot of being a mayor was being a very, very good lawyer.
Mhm.
Of course, being U.S. attorney was all about being a good lawyer.
The best.
So we're going to take a short break, and I'll be right back with Dr. Maria.
Thank you.
Foundation delivers on its promise to do good and never forget the sacrifices America's greatest heroes have made for us. Heroes who risked their lives to keep our communities and our country safe. Heroes like United States Marine Corps Captain and pilot John Jeremy Sachs. Captain Sachs sustained fatal injuries when his military aircraft crashed during training, killing him and 5 other service members. He's remembered by loved ones as courageous, brilliant, and devoted to his career, family, and friends. John is survived by his wife, Amber, who gave birth to their second daughter 3 months after his death. Tunnel to Towers paid the mortgage on the family home for Amber and their 2 daughters. The foundation has helped over 1,000 military and first responder families navigate the worst of times by removing the burden of a mortgage payment. Our nation's heroes and their families need your help now more than ever. Donate $11 a month to Tunnel to Towers at T2T.org. T2T.org. That's T, the number 2T.org. T2T.org. Please donate now. We're back. Dr. Maria and Rudy Giuliani on America's Mayor Live. So it's really, I think it now is the entire Biden administration versus Israel. The entire administration, because they got everybody coming out now.
Goes out to Israel. We made almost a lifetime commitment to them. It was something that we were arm in arm, United States and Israel, the only free country in the Middle East. And we turned our backs on them. We actually kind of blamed them for October 7th, not we, the radical left, the Biden administration. What is wrong with them? Is it their perverse love affair with Iran?
Yeah, I think it is. I mean, I think you attribute. I mean, people would attribute it to 2 things, and you can give it the credit that you want or the number you want. The love affair with Iran, the compromise position with China, which connects, and then fear. So I do think everything he's doing is being completely corrupted by the fact that he wants to win. Now, it may be that he can't win, and therefore all the things he's doing are really awfully detrimental. For example, he wants to get the vote, or he wants to get the vote of the Islamic people in Michigan.
Yeah.
I don't know that there's a big Islamic vote anyplace else that is as critical as the one in Michigan. And and you'd have to say Michigan comes close to could be the most critical state in many ways in terms of which way will it go. And if it goes Trump, it probably means that Wisconsin goes with it. It may even mean Minnesota goes with it. So, but even all by itself, I mean, if everything remained the same and Trump just picked up Michigan, you'd only have to pick up Wisconsin and one more state like Georgia, New Hampshire, to win. And a lot of people always thought Michigan would be the toughest one for him to pick up. Now he's ahead. Some people say by 10 points.
Well, isn't
In
that
Michigan.
started his kind of liking of Ronna McDaniel because they finally got Michigan after so many years
Yeah, I would say that's right.
around in Michigan?
Trump's gonna run very strong in Michigan this time around, and like the idea that Biden's like this nice guy, right? That whole image is kind of that's no longer there. That so he kind of I think maybe got close to winning, and then you add all the extra stuff, right? So Biden was able to win, but in 24 he doesn't have that same. People can see what's going on with the world and the economy and everything.
Well, he's got, I mean, who are his voting blocks there? The old Democrats, right?
Yeah, the Obama voters,
The old Democrats, which probably the Republicans exceed them. The black vote, and a question: how strong is the black vote going to be this time? Trump, he's dropped 10 points in the black vote. Trump has gone up 10 points in the black vote. If half of that happens, he loses. And if that turns into what I think it's going to turn into, staying home, same thing. With the Islamic vote, I don't see them coming out in big numbers voting for Trump, but I see them staying home in big numbers. And I can even see why they would want Trump as the president. And I've been told this by people who know that community. It's a long-term community. It thinks long-term. They may be saying to themselves, no matter what we do, we may be getting Trump, but we only have him for 4 years. The Democrats are going to make his life hell. Whatever he does, we can reverse next time and we'll teach the Democratic Party a lesson that they can't do without us. We're more important than the Jews. Wow. So stop pandering to the Jewish vote. You better pander to us.
Ted, remind me, when we were out in Michigan, they called a big community out there called themselves a particular name.
Chaldeans.
Chaldeans. Where are they from?
Iraq. They're Iraqi Catholics. Yeah, Iraqi.
There's a lot of Palestinians in Michigan.
There is in places like Dearborn.
I see.
And they're Palestinian, or a lot of people who are Lebanese, but they call them, they identify as Palestinian. It's interesting. So, but they're in Michigan, right?
That's where Trump.
Yeah, so it's an interesting split, right? Michigan, Metro Detroit, which is where we were, is a very
You're
diverse.
a Christian from one of those lands, and you're pro-Islamic. I guess you didn't mind having your father killed. I mean,
they're shared, and
Lebanon has very few Christians left for a simple reason: they got killed or thrown out.
But it's right. They call themselves like Palestinian Lebanese. Of course, they're Michigan of all places, right? The United States. So it's interesting, right? They talk about everything happening over there, but here they are.
Yeah.
Islamic Michigan and Dearborn.
Islamic
outside the
Islamic State K announced right away when they took credit that why did you do it? To kill the Christians.
Yeah.
There
is a war on Christians,
but
just like within the United States is a war on conservatives.
Yes. Their war against Russia is not very different than Turkey against Armenia and Turkey against Greece. It isn't national; it's religious.
Yeah.
The extreme Islamics see them as Russian Orthodox.
Yep.
Kill them.
Crazy.
They see the Greeks as Greek Orthodox. Kill them.
Yeah. You think
they see the Armenians as Armenian Orthodox. Kill them. And of course, if they can find Roman Catholics, they'll kill them too.
Yeah.
They are not committed just to the destruction of Jews. They figure there are fewer Jews so we can get rid of them faster. But the next step is to get rid of all Christians.
Yeah.
And also now America has taken on the big Satan thing, whether you're Christian or not. They want to get rid of you as an American. Why the hell Biden and Prince Obama and all these other people suck up to Iran is treasonous. Here's the American ambassador whose security clearance should be taken away the minute the administration is over, voting to abstain. Right there. It's a her, and I'm not even going to give its name. Its name is Benedicta Arnold. And Do you know if I was asked to abstain on a vote, I'd quit.
I would quit too. Where's your
Abstain? I'm supposed to abstain on a critical vote like this? America's the leader of the world, and we're abstaining on a ceasefire with our best friend
Can
being
we
fried?
leave the UN, please?
Please. And again, I'm going to make the same appeal that my friend Donald Trump makes to the Jewish people. I don't know. Everybody has a right to vote how they want. Everybody has a right to be stupid. But you don't have a right to assist in the destruction of the state of Israel, do you? You know you're doing that if you put Biden back there. He's on his way to destroying it. If you get a Palestinian state, you're going to have another terrorist group. I have the map over there, right next to you. You see what they did on October 6th,
October 7th.
on October 7th. You see what they did on October 7th? That's just the beginning.
So disgusting.
They want to eliminate you. Remember when Hitler wrote those things and nobody listened to it?
Right?
They have been writing
So-
this for years and for centuries.
Yes.
And for centuries, it's in their Quran.
Yep.
They want to eliminate the Jewish people.
I don't get it. I'll never get it.
One guy is in cahoots with them or is too cowardly to really be against them. And the other guy is 100% in your favor. Today, Trump warned Bibi, get it done quick because the Americans are starting to get tired. And the communist, internal American communist press machine is trying to wear them down. So, I mean, if we take a short break and we can bring it over here, I'll show you what they have to do to get it done. I mean, I'd be in there tomorrow.
I gotta go home.
Okay,
I will see you. Thanks for having me on.
good. Maybe we'll have you on again tomorrow. You were
Yeah.
very good tonight. You passed your test.
The new year, we're having the biggest sale ever on overstock clearance and brand new products. For example, save 60% on our Goose Down comforters, the best comforters ever. They go perfectly with our MyPillow bed sheets and duvet covers. Save 25% on our brand new kitchen towels. They're made with the same technology as our famous My Towels. Our initial quantities are extremely low, so get them now before they go. Our seasonal flannel sheets are finally in. You save up to 50% and they sell out fast every year, so order now. They're truly the best flannel sheets you'll ever sleep on. Or save up to 80% on all our clearance items. And this is where it gets even better. For a limited time, your entire order ships absolutely free. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use that promo code to get deep discounts on all MyPillow products. And for a limited time, your order ships absolutely free.
mypillows.com/Rudy. Those towels were looking really good before. I was, he advertises on his own network too. And he has pretty much the same advertisement on. And I was looking at those towels when Dr. Maria was doing her show. I think I'm going to get some of them. I like those towels. And they're cheap for really good stuff. Come on, you got to find something that you can get from him. I mean, and also from our friends here at Balance and Nature. And the reason, because they're patriots. These people don't advertise with the communists. These people have principles, and they make money, and a lot of the money they make goes back into Second Amendment rights. It goes back into right to life and all the things that we feel very strongly about. Too bad I let Dr. Maria run out on us, because I'm going to really be impressive now. And I am going to pronounce correctly Mifepristone. 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 That's the medicine that I guess is known as the morning after I think it's the morning after pill, but there was a case before the Supreme Court today called FDA Alliance for Hippocratic Medicine, which would mean, ethical medicine. Now, it really wasn't an abortion case. Although all the abortion people were out, the pro and the anti, it's really a case about the scope of responsibility of the FDA and whether they made a proper decision and how much deference should be given to them and how much shouldn't. It's really an administrative law case more than it is an abortion case. I don't even see where those constitutional rights get involved, but they're playing it as a big abortion case. I think the case has a problem, and I'm surprised it got this far. I think the case, and I know a lot of conservatives will be very, very disappointed with this, but this is part of our law, and it prevents many, many useless, frivolous, crazy lawsuits. To bring a lawsuit, you have to have standing, you have to be injured, but really injured, with a few exceptions. That's called standing. There has to be a case and controversy. It can't just be hypothetical. You can't go before the court and say, I think my landlord is going to evict me for improper purposes. Therefore, stop him. He's got to try to do it. Or you have to have proof that he's about to do it. In other words, you can't try a hypothetical. They call that case or controversy. A kind of a subpart of that is called standing. You personally have to be the aggrieved party. You can't be the father of the aggrieved party. You can't be the friend of the aggrieved party. You got to be the aggrieved party. So this case is being brought by, I guess it's being brought by doctors and healthcare people and nurse practitioners, and they're saying that that this medicine, mifepristone, how do you say that, Ted? You try it.
Oh,
Okay, good enough. All right. Well, we can call it the after mifepristone. Okay, mifepristone. But in any event, we'll call it the morning after pill. That it has had a record of very, very serious side effects, and it's been given several exceptions from the usual procedures. Like in 2016, which goes back a while, they allowed nurse practitioners, not only doctors, to prescribe the medication, and they increased the gestational age cutoff to 10 weeks from 7. So in other words, they let you use it later on in the pregnancy or gestation. 5 years later, they suspended, and this would be the really difficult one, if you had standing, the in-person requirement for dispensing the drug. So now, in essence, it's no longer a prescribed drug. You can just go in and get it. They claim that during that period, between 2.9 and 4.6% of women taking that drug have ended up in the emergency room. And that was not properly evaluated by the FDA, and it violates the Administrative Procedure Act. Again, it's not about abortion, right? Where's abortion? The FDA disagrees. They come up with statistics that say they can find only about less than 1% of the cases of people who take this, even though there is some cramping and bleeding that occurs, end up in the hospital. And they say they've reviewed dozens of regimes. And the doctor side said they've ignored these other studies. But the core issue is whether the doctors have legal standing to sue, which requires a concrete injury that's traceable to the defendant's actions. So how are the doctors injured? They're not taking the pill. they're not even potentially going to take the pill. So it seems rather. I mean, you could change the law, particularly in a situation like this where you're almost waiting for someone to get injured to bring the case. You just can't go on the statistics of the people who were injured in the past if they're not willing to bring a lawsuit. At least you might need someone. I don't know if even this would be enough, but someone contemplating taking the pill, a woman of the right age, who could get pregnant, who wants to get, but is afraid to use this pill. I don't think that would be enough. I think you need someone who took it and had a side effect in order to bring the lawsuit. Now that's a little bit of a limitation in our law, but it's not something that the judges are making up. Sometimes they use standing very broadly to avoid stuff they don't want to do. Thought they did that a lot in the election cases. This one here would be a rather typical application of standing. Now, there have been a few exceptions to that. Department of Commerce versus New York allowed states to challenge a citizenship question, even though really the citizens should be the ones to question it. So the question is, how are the doctors affected? One could say they're affected because they could be damaged when they prescribe this by the side effects that haven't been examined enough. And I might accept that for standing, because doctors nowadays are sued so often, and they got to be so careful about documenting everything they do. That might make it. It didn't sound from the argument like the court was going to buy that one, but that would be one avenue to it. And then you have the general rule, but there's a lot of tension with this one. Brett Kavanaugh wrote in a recent decision, Cytori Therapeutics versus FDA, the courts must be careful not to unduly second guess an agency's scientific judgment. Now, most of the cases that have reached the court, and everyone is expecting a couple of not this one, but a couple of these cases to change it. It's called the Chevron doctrine, is that over the years, the courts have given these agencies way too much power on the theory that you have to give deference to their opinion. But how much deference? If they, for example, ignored numerous cases of people going to the hospital, you should no longer give deference to their opinion. There's no question the FDA did that with regard to the pandemic. So it has a terrible, terrible recent history of being a very shady organization where it seems to have been I hate to use the word infected by greed, infected by politics, infected by wokeism, infected by everything bad in our society. But I don't know if this is the right case. Unfortunately, you're probably going to have to get a case where some poor woman who took it for an abortion got injured, if they're willing to bring it. It seems like you shouldn't have to do that. And they should extend the definition of damage or standing to a doctor whose standing as a doctor can be affected by prescribing medicine that hasn't been properly analyzed and vetted. At least that's what I would try to convince the other justices of. And they would probably say, Giuliani, you've been suspended. We're not going to listen to you. In Texas, they Abbott. This is almost like Home and Home series. On Thursday, all these migrants came over the border and I think it was gate. I'm trying to remember what gate it was. Was it gate 45? It's all in the El Paso area. But yesterday, the National Guard were ready for it, and they started cutting the wire, and they came in, and the National Guard put them back in Mexico. Biden do it. Biden's people were there that had taken him in. Remember this, please, when he's asking for more Border Patrol. And this is not an insult to the Border Patrol. It's an insult directly to the man who is directing them. He has made those very, very wonderful citizens into escorts. They take you to your seat at Radio City Music Hall. So if they saw those migrants, they'd have taken them in. Not even asking, gee, did they just let you out of the insane asylum? I don't know, maybe if the guy started biting your neck like Dracula, they might do something. They may not be allowed to. They'd probably be fired by Mayorkas or be accused of using whips. So I don't know. Do we have some film of that? Of they're getting pushed back? The migrants snipped the fence. They tried to dash into the United States, and they were directed away from gate 45, and they were pushed back into Mexico, where they belong. That's what we have to do. Big time. ICE, by the way, just to give you an idea of what was it like under Trump and what's it like under the traitor, ICE removes 60% less people now than they did under Trump. Now, when you consider the numbers, that's really dramatic, because Trump never went above about 420. Last year, we were at 3.2 million. So that percentage applied to a much, much bigger percentage. There's a different world. That's why we're able to say the fentanyl crisis is completely controlled by Biden, by leaving the door open. And if you tell me that has nothing to do with all the money you got from China, I'm going to tell you I don't believe you. Okay? I'm going to tell you, stop being so naive. Somebody might sell you the Brooklyn Bridge. Now, this is about as crazy as it gets. And it makes you wonder when you wake up in the morning. So if I think about this first thing tomorrow morning, I'm going to wake up. I wake up early first. Sometimes I actually start working. Sometimes I go back to sleep. Wake up. The New York City Council went to the highest court of New York today and asked that the case be reversed, that says that that the law that allows non-citizens to vote is unconstitutional, because the New York City Council wants non-citizens to vote. I would say that's not America. That's not even a country. Don't you need some coherence of nationhood to vote? Or isn't this the greatest example we have of what the communists want to do to us? Isn't this what Obama is all about? And Klaus Schwab and Gates and Prince Obama and whatever is left of Biden's brain and the morons around him, like Shifty Schiff. I mean, all of them. They don't want America anymore. There's no America if there's no agreement on basic principles. These people who come in, they don't know anything about America. They're not coming here because of Abraham Lincoln. Nobody's giving them a little book they have to read so they can have basic knowledge. And if they gave it to them, they tell them that Christopher Columbus was a member of the mafia. Nobody's teaching love of America any longer. No one's teaching assimilation any longer. The reason, and this is why these people have no right to even talk about this. A guy like Adams has no right to talk about the beauty of immigration because he's not talking about immigration. He's talking about invasion. He's talking about the horrors of invasion rather than the beauty of immigration. The beauty of immigration for America was how well we did assimilation. You came here and you became an American. And the ones who succeeded the most and the fastest became American the fastest. And almost everyone eventually did. Some did it right away. Some did it, took a generation. Took Italians a generation. But they did it, boy. Wow. The Jewish people always credited with doing it right away. Irish sort of in between. Large number did it right away, probably a larger number than Italians, but a large number also waited a generation or so. Eastern Europeans be probably a little more like the Italians. But boy, they're right there. But again, even though they, when I say they waited a generation, it really was to take advantage fully of education. It wasn't to have great pride and love in being an American. Most of them had it the moment they came here. But also, America loved itself then. America wasn't filled with all these haters. I mean, you come to a country in which the president tells you that the country stinks. A country that is systemically racist is an evil country, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know how you interpret it any differently. Everything that comes out of the Democrats' mouths from the time of Prince Obama's apology tour has been how terrible America is. His wife told us that. And she wants to run for president of a country she never was proud of until her jerky prancing around Prince Obama got elected. One of our worst presidents, trained by communists. That was the proudest moment. And she wants people to come here and feel good about being American. Biden wants them to feel good about America when he tells them that we're systemically racist. I don't even know why they want to come here. If we're systemically racist, why the hell do they want to come here? Because we're not. But it is effective propaganda. It's what caused the whole George Floyd overreaction, which is one of the reasons why we're falling apart. What happened with George Floyd? Wrong. Crime. All those demonstrations for him should have been stopped. The first one, before the little boy mayor of Minnesota did the unspeakable of giving up a police station. Of course, a Democrat. Well, I'm going to go on to one or two last subjects, and here's let me see if I can't find them completely, but the eclipse is coming. Dr. Maria was going to talk about the eclipse because we're making a lot of preparations for it. And we want you to make preparations for it too. Unless you're in the northeastern part of the United States, you won't have to worry about I don't think you'll have to worry about damage to your eyes. But if you're in the northeastern part of the United States, even if you're going to be affected by the partial eclipse and not the totality, in fact, you need glasses if you're going to look at the sun. Do not, under any circumstances, look at the sun without the right glasses on that are ISO approved. And they can be very inexpensive. I think you can get some on Amazon for about $6 or $8. You can get a package of a whole bunch of them for you and your family. But make sure it says ISO approved. And make sure you don't peek. A peeking can do permanent damage. From outside, have the glasses on just in case you get, just in case you get curious. Now, the next thing I want to show you is what we're fighting about here. What does Israel have to do to complete the mission of giving itself the maximum protection it can get what it wanted? Because the leadership of Hamas is being protected by the American president, because he will not lean on Dubai to give up the leaders who is sitting in Dubai with, which probably is very attractive to the Biden family when they hear that, because maybe they're thinking when they get out of the White House, they can glom some of that money. Please don't get angry at me for saying that. This is the way they've lived their lives. Why would that be such a strange speculation? I mean, they took money from people that were murderers. Xi Jinping murdered more people than Islamic terrorists. When you get money from the Bank of China, you get money from Xi Jinping. They ever points out, I don't know why, Ted, that their partner in the ridiculous investment firm that they had was the nephew of Whitey Bulger. What the hell is that all about? And we put the guy in the White House and we keep him there? Wow. This is up here. I put my little marker. You can't see it really well. This was really, that was the heart of Hamas. But they built tunnels all the way down to here. Now, this is not very big. This is like 7 miles. So what's that? 7, 14, 21, 28, maybe about 50. So they built tunnels coming all the way down here.
From where?
All the way down here.
Where did they start?
Up here.
All the way to the top?
All the way to the top. Tunnels all over here.
Really?
Yeah. Those have pretty much been, a lot of them have been bombed out. They were driven out of Gaza City. You remember that was the first entry, was about here. And they went that way and that way. And they came in that way. And man, that took about a week. And Gaza City was gone. And everybody's fleeing south. And then they caught up with them in Khan Yunis, which is where the leadership was. They found a lot of the leadership. Now, when you say killing children and what, most of them located their headquarters under hospitals. So that's there. I mean, and with that, the percentage of civilians killed by the Israelis is less than the Americans in all of our most recent wars. So shut up, Biden. A significant number that escaped from here have gotten themselves down into Rafah. Now, I guess they had to know Egypt is not going to let them in. So their back is up against the wall. About 40 or 50,000 might have the option of going into this like little pen that Egypt is creating here. You come in there, they'll keep you for a while. They will, God forbid, not let you into Egypt because you're too dangerous. And then they're eventually going to send you back for the Israelis to kill you. Or if you're not a terrorist, to go back to where you belong. But there are, under the hospitals here, under some of the schools, there are still significant leaders, including the top leader. They should be taken out, because otherwise they're just going to reform, and they're going to reform with even more enthusiasm and strength for having, in essence, made it. We promised Israel, Biden did, that they would get to eliminate Hamas. We have broken our promise. What's new? It's Joe Biden. He's not an honorable man. He's not even a decent man. I think, BB, my good friend, Donald Trump gave you the right advice. Don't waste any time. Don't dig around. Not going to get better with Biden. The decision's not going to get any better or worse. If you go in right now or you put it off for 2 weeks, Biden's not going to like you any better. The liberals are going to hate you no matter what if you go in now and in 2 weeks you might not be able to go in. They may have organized enough against you so you can't do what you got to do. You got the army, you got the people, you got the bombs. I'd like to wake up tomorrow and have you attacking Rafah. Let them. It's always better to get it over with when something is. And I really am afraid for you and your people that if you, and my people, because I consider them my people, that if you don't go in there fast, I think, Trump's a very much smarter man than he gets credit for. I think he's telling you that for your own good. He wants to see them destroyed by the time he comes in. Because he'll get it over when he does come in. And we don't know when you accomplish this. I don't have the other map of Israel here. But we don't. There's a lot up north. There's a lot of stuff going on up north, and much more than you think. And I don't think Hezbollah and Iran want to go to war with you up there, but they want to tease you up there. So you want to get this over with in case they really do have, so you can focus on that. And you're going to have a problem with that war because Biden's not going to be on your side. You can be on Iran's side. I mean, that'd be almost like saying I wouldn't be rooting for the Yankees. I mean, these guys, Prince Obama and Dum Dum. I mean, they love. I'm surprised they don't wear Ayatollah uniforms. They sure give them enough money that they're entitled to uniforms. So let's see what happens. Let's hope that Bibi takes advantage of this. You should know that 85% of our friends in Israel want this done, and they want it done the way Trump just said now. They're upset with Bibi waiting, and they're upset that Bibi waited originally to go in. Remember, he waited with he had all the troops lined up here for about 3 weeks. It would have been a much cleaner situation if he just and got it over with while the iron was hot. The iron is cold now. See that creep there with the hand up? It's got to tell you they're thinking more about elections than the lives of the Jewish people. And the Islamics are trying to convince them that they're more important to their party than the Jews are. That's what's going on. So stick here because I'm going to tell it to you straight. No bullshit. This is getting tough. And this is where, like you, Bibi, and Trump, and me, this is where we function best. Get it over with. Yeah. Well, we are in Holy Week. We'll talk a little more about that tomorrow, and then, of course, on Holy Thursday. And we'll see where we're going with all of these things. The election is starting to really creep up on us, and it's the most important we've ever had, and we'll spend a little more time on that. I want to thank Dr. Maria because she had a long day today, particularly putting that show together. She really enjoyed it. She did a great job. Better not lose her. Ted and I would be lost. Right, Ted?
Yeah, that's right.
We're not going to lose. We're not going to lose.
What a fantastic job she did, though.
So, and now we're going to try to reinvent ourselves over the next couple of weeks, just for the fun of it. We're going to try. We're going to try to do more with our confidential network as well, because there are things that we hold back that we should put on there. I'm going to put some on now. But we also want to do phone calls again. And we want you to give us, send us some text and tell us the best way we should do that. Should we do it at the beginning of the show, at the end of the show? Should we do a special show? Should we do it once I used to do? Even on my radio show, I don't know exactly. I think I've gotten the right formula on my radio show now, because I do about 2 or 3, maybe 4. Sometimes if it's a really hot topic, I don't. But I usually take a few, because I'd like to see what you're thinking. Editing the news when I know what you're thinking. So Ted and I are going to re-establish our telephone thing. And also, as we do our reinvention, we're going to try to come up with a more sophisticated method of doing it. Yeah. Although sometime we're going to tell you the history of this.
Yeah.
You know, Ted and I together, this has been fun. We invented this thing. And we were the first ones. I know a lot of people are getting offered fortunes like that Dum Lemon for being on X. But
he's not making a fortune, is he?
We didn't get it. I mean, they took it away from him, but we were the first ones to do this. We just did it. We knew what we were doing, but we just did it.
We just did it.
And then we started hitting these big numbers on X particularly, but on some of the others too. Well, for that, I thank you. I ask you to please tell your neighbors about it. If you don't catch it between 9 or soccer time, you can put it on at any time. Just put it on at 4 a.m, like I put things on. And I can guarantee you it's going to give you information you're not getting most other places, and perspective that you're not getting most other places, this year in particular. So thank you. Let us just say a little prayer, like we did last night, for the repose of the soul of that wonderful police officer.
Also, Jonathan Diller.
But let's, police officer Diller, that's right. But also, I do want to add, I want to add the people who lost their lives in Moscow. They were innocent people being governed by a tyrant, and the people losing their lives in Ukraine. So let's say a little prayer for them tonight. This is a prayer week. And let's say the Our Father again. That's a pretty universal prayer. Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed kingdom come, thy will be done.
On earth.
I was thinking about Latin. Pater noster, quies in cellis, non inceda adveniat regnum tuum, tuit voluntas tua, sicut in cielo et in terra, panem nostrum, quotidianum da nobis hodie. Et demite nobis debita nostris, et ne nos inducas in tentationem, sed libera nos a malo. Amen. Isn't that more beautiful?
Much more.
Sed libera ad nos a malo. Save me from evil. Please, God, save us all from evil. And God bless America. To bring to bear the principle of common sense and rational discussion to the issues of our day. America was created at a time of great turmoil, tremendous disagreements, anger, hatred. There was a book written in 1776 that guided much of the discipline of thinking that brought to us the discovery of our freedoms, of our God-given freedoms. It was Thomas Paine's Common Sense, written in 1776. One of the first American bestsellers, in which Thomas Paine explained, by rational principles, the reason why these small colonies felt the necessity to separate from the Kingdom of Great Britain and the King of England. He explained their inherent desire for liberty, for freedom, freedom of religion, freedom of speech, the ability to select the people who govern them. And he explained it in ways that were understandable to all the people, not just the elite. Because the desire for freedom is universal. The desire for freedom adheres in the human mind, and it is part of the human soul. This is exactly the time we should consult our history. Look at what we've done in the past and see if we can't use it to help us now. We understand that our founders created the greatest country in the history of the world, the greatest democracy, the freest country, a country that has taken more people out of poverty than any country ever. All of us are so fortunate to be Americans. But a great deal of the reason for America's constant ability to self-improve is because we're able to reason, we're able to talk, we're able to analyze.